Welcome, 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 everyone. I hope we're all having a good day. And always remember, coffee is love, coffee is life. Okay. So I think I've come up with something. Um, what I'm gonna need silver. I'm gonna need the metallic medium. This is basically just fucking mica powder and a little bit of the black. And I don't have a spooch bottle. You still have a little bit in you. You know what? First, you're no longer going to be spirit medium. You're going to be repurposed. But what I am going to do is I'm actually going to utilize the rest of that medium that's in there for this. Come on, don't be an asshole. Okay, so what we're going to do first. There we go. Haha, I win. Kind of, mostly. Yeah, that'll be fine. Now, what we are going to do pop open the bottle. And I'm going to need agitators. Uh, one of you and one of you. So you know what? I don't want to use this carbon black. Let's use... this carbon. This is the Liquitex carbon black. Okay. Okay, so 3 full droppers of that. Okay. 10 drops of titanium white. Titanium, the reason why I'm using so little titanium white is it is a very, very, very strong pigment and is opaque compared to the transparent that the carbon black is. Which it translates to a little bit, goes a very long way. It's good and agitated. And then we're just going to squeeze a bunch of this in there. Probably the last of it. There we go. Actually, I want to clean this bottle out too. But I actually want to clean that bottle out. Have anything I can push that down with other than the lid? So, the lid it is. Okay. Time to take a ride on Bert. One good thing about using a vortex mixer, while using said vortex mixer, you can drink coffee. I do so love me some coffee. I think I might need more black. Yeah. I'm gonna need more black. I need you. Little bit more black. Not a lot, but a little bit. Two, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, because right now it's dark, but it's basically a gunmetal gray. And what I want is something a little darker than that. Hmm. Oh, agitated can get put away. Hey there, Chair. How are you doing? Pardon me. Okay. How's my nothing? I'm confused. Oh, nice. Um,
First blood!
the thing to remember with Dwarf Fortress is your fortress falling is inevitable. Especially if you're playing just vanilla, like no mods. But it's all about the process and getting there. Um, I know, right? It's shocking. Oh, hey, can somebody try hitting exclamation point patch for me for a second? Please, and shank you. Bam! Yes, it's with Dwarf Fortress, the journey is more important than the end goal, I think is the best way to put it. Might want to toss a little bit of gel medium in this just to thicken it up a bit. Ah. Okay. Interesting. Um, but yeah, I'm not doing too bad. At least one of us got lucky. Oh man, aquifers are actual light aquifers are ridiculously easy to deal with. Um, Heavy aquifers are a pain in the ass. Oh, there's also like aquifer layers where it's just wet fucking ground that will drip. Though one thing I would suggest is find like the okay, so if you go into settings, I know there's a lot of them. You can turn on like depth levels for liquids, which will put a number on the tile. That is super useful. Because for situations like that, you can more easily find the top layer of it. And an underground river is perfect for a couple of different things. You're playing Dwarf Fortress. You can tunnel to it. But water is uh you're it's Dwarf Fortress. You can tunnel to it. But yeah, so if you turn water levels on, um, which is in settings and gameplay, I believe. Question mark. I would have to look at it myself, but I'm kind of wrist deep in tricorder at the moment. Um, but yeah, so if you turn that on, you can find where the top of it is, and I would tunnel along to the top of it because water is useful for your dwarves. They won't drink it normally, but if there are any injured dwarves, they'll drink water. Yeah. So you'll see numbers 1 through 7. 7 is the full like square, the full cube. If you think of it in like 3 dimensions. But 7 is the the cube is 100% full of water. Not sure why they picked 7, but that's just the way it works. Um, I think level 1 water is the deepest water that where you can still build, but I could be wrong with that. You might not even be able to build in like level 1 water. But it's useful to have that for a couple of that means it's winter and it might not be very far underground then. But yeah, water is still like a decent resource. Usually mainly for like injured dwarves and stuff like that. When you get to the point where you're like fucking around with setting up like a hospital. Um, Another tip that I would consider is pretty important is your okay. Um, so the tutorial's kind of helpful. I didn't find it too helpful. But I also had like one of the community members who occasionally stops by is actually pretty pretty established in the Dwarf Fortress community. Um like from back in the days of old school Dwarf Fortress. But so in the nobility tab on the bottom left of your screen, like just mouse over and one of them will be like nobility. If you click on that, you're gonna want to set a manager, a broker, and a bookkeeper. Those are your 3 most important positions that you need to have filled. Um, have you started building workshops yet? Okay, cool. So, in addition to the 7 beds that you're going to need to build, if you haven't started them already, you're going to need 2 chairs. Nope. Well, you'll need tables eventually, but what you need the 2 chairs for is you're going to need those to build a couple of offices. Um, because both your bookkeeper and your that's one of the things that where I'm helping you work towards right now. So yeah, just queue up 2 chairs, and once those are built, you're gonna want to go into, I believe it's zones. It's either zones or rooms, one of the two. But like basically, you want to build 2 offices or the room menu. It's in the room menu. So you want to basically clear out spot. It could even just be in like an open main area, but essentially your manager and your bookkeeper both need an office. In order to do their job. No. That's not going to be useful for you just yet. Like I said, what we're working on now is basically you want to get those 2 offices built up. You also good at something that's good to start on right now is clearing out. I would say at least 10 rooms that are 2 squares by 3 squares. Those are going to be your starting bedrooms. Eh, I find 2 by 3 is the best for space saving, but yeah, if you want to make them 3 by 3, oh, I honestly the offices you only need 1 square, at least for the first two. Um, Later on, once you get like a mayor and like no actual nobility, you'll need to like yeah, oh yeah, the offices can just be 1 square. That's all your manager and bookkeeper need because basically all they need is the office square and a chair inside of that, obviously. So, yeah, once you have the 2 offices set up with a chair in each one, then you want to select the zone, and you're going to need to assign a basically you need to assign your manager to one and your bookkeeper to the other. Uh, uh, X. Ah, damn it. Doing this on my phone is a pain in the ass. Eat the banhammer, motherfucker. Um, so normally by default, it should just mine everything. Oh, that'll change. That will 100% change. Um, Mood spirals are a thing. They're actually one of the reasons why I keep using DF hack because like I can just be like, fuck you all. You're all going to be happy no matter what. I force you to be happy. Okay. So I would like you to go into back into your settings and into the game settings. So you're going to have that huge list. You want to scroll down until you see population, max population. When you find it, set it to 50. Yeah, population cap, set that to 50. Because right now, I think by default, it's set to like either 100 or 200. Yeah, set it to 50. Like, even I will generally start my forts out with 50, and I'll like kind of leave it there for a while I build up and get ready to jump up to like the next population level that I want to be at. So there's a trick I use for bedrooms. It saves a lot of space. Um, Basically, what I'll do is I'll have my dwarves mine a staircase down like 11 floors. And then I'll do like, say, five of those far enough apart that I can attach bedrooms to them. The benefit for doing it that way is you can set them all as rooms and you don't need doors. Also, vertical travel takes the same amount of movement. This is getting into a little bit more of a higher level thing. But essentially, yeah. But here's the thing making apartment complexes makes your fort more efficient. Essentially. And at the same time, they get the same amount of room that they would get anyway. But yeah, so like just keep in mind that vertical travel along a staircase uses just as much movement as horizontal travel does. Oh, yes, and a still is a necessity from as soon as you can build one. Booze is life in Dwarf Fortress. For the ones that are just attached to a hallway, yes. The secret to doing it the way, if you want them attached to the same hallway, yes. With the way that I do it, other than like at the top floor where the staircases start, they're not attached on the same floor. Type deal. Like it's basically just, you know, I'm doing more Dwarf Fortress talk than painting. It's fine. It's fine. I have to clean this brush anyway. Um, one thing that I would suggest, I feel like I'm shouting. But one thing I would suggest would be to build 4 of each workshop, basically. Yes. The reason why is once you have your manager set up, you can actually set up work orders. And that way you'll end up having multiple workshops working on the same like work order group. Say you wanted to have a you know a standing order, like basically a minimum say you wanted to have minimum 10 beds on hand just to make expansion and stuff like that easier. You could set that up as a work order, and then when it comes time to build the beds, as it were, rather than only having one workshop working on it, you'll have up to 4. Another benefit to it is when your dwarves get struck by strange moods, they will claim a workshop and nobody else can use it until they either give up and go crazy or complete whatever it is that they were going to build because of their strange mood. So yeah, redundancy is the name of the game. Thankfully, the workshops are cheap. Um, Another tip is save your wood for smelting and beds. Everything else, use either stone or metal. Or glass if you're feeling fancy. This is more just for resource management purposes. Again, and so I have to say this: anything that I say is just a suggestion. Play how you want. That's part of the fun of Dwarf Fortress. Um, but basically, unless you're on a map that has like bituminous coal or some other sort of something else that you can turn into coke, which is used to fuel your furnaces, you're going to need wood for that. Also, the only thing that beds can be built out of is wood. Like you can't have stone beds or metal beds or anything like that. Nice. And make sure you build your trade depot um, fairly close to the surface. And I would make your entrance to the trade depot itself at least 5 squares wide. That's more for future proofing than anything else. Like you probably won't need it in your first couple of playthroughs, but it's a good habit to get into because after your fortress gets big enough, they'll start sending like wagons instead of just like dudes with camels and horses and shit. Also, a good thing to start doing as soon as possible. Once you have your crafts dwarf workshop, I would set up like just a standing order to make stone crafts. Um, it's going to give you something to sell to your trade caravans, and it's something that all of the races, including the snooty fucking elves, um, will take. Also, don't try selling anything that's made of animal to the elves. They don't like that. Oh, I've had such bad experiences with the elves that I actually straight up just stopped trying to trade with them. They always come in the spring. Humans will come to trade in the fall. No, in the summer. And then the dwarven caravan is always in the fall. Yeah, so you're gonna want to get some dwarven crafts on the go. You also want to get your still on the go and producing for 50 dwarves. I would say you want to hold at least 50 drinks. Um, I know I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you like rapid fire here, but it's just as I'm thinking of it type deal. Another thing that you're going to want to build is you're gonna want a few farm plots. They don't need light or anything like that, so you can build them underground. I usually build them like either 3x5 or 3x7. But yeah, you are going to need to build some underground in order to grow mushrooms, which you can then turn into beer. You will, yes. Because I would save the metal for weapons and armor. As far as crafts go, just do rock crafts and have your dwarves work on those. Um, Simply because they're lighter than metal crafts, and you don't need more than rock crafts, especially once you get to processing gems and stuff like that. Um, because then you can like encrust those rock crafts with gems and like once you get the process down, like once you get the setup down, like mid game, you start buying out the traders that not even mid game, early game, you can start just like completely buying out the traders that come to trade with you. But you will need a furnace for turning. Well, you'll need a smelter to turn the ore into bars, and then from bars you'll need a metalsmith to turn them into well stuff. Oh, and because you are going to need barrels, uh, you're going to want to make rock pots. They do the same thing, but they don't use wood. You know what? This weekend I might do some Dwarf Fortress streams. I haven't played DF in a bit. Wish I had a larger metallics brush. I'm not gonna turn one of my fucking natural hair brushes into a metallics brush. But yeah, your life as far as like setting up, like getting stuff processed, will be so much easier as soon as you have your manager set up. And like in their office. Yeah. One for the manager, one for the bookkeeper. And as soon as they have a chair, they'll start doing their jobs. Um, so I've talked a little bit about what the manager does. The bookkeeper, they're going to make sure that you can see the exact numbers of everything that you have. So, like, the exact number of how much food you have, the exact number for how much, like, your other resources and stuff like that. That's invaluable information. Because without it, like, as you can see, without it, it's you just only you only have like an approximate. And like also too, like once you get more comfortable with the game, I was gonna say better, but there's really no being better with Dwarf Fortress. It's fucking but yeah, once you get more comfortable with the game, you can actually design if you want to like prepare carefully. You can essentially set up your dwarves to like have the best start for like your manager, your bookkeeper, stuff like that. Like one of the things that I usually like to do is I'll set up my manager, my bookkeeper, and my broker right from the get go. Um, and then I'll set up like four minor dwarves. Though technically, you don't actually have to set up dwarves for mining because you'll get like you get mining experience really, really quickly. I just like having them being a little bit faster right off the hop. And with standing orders, as soon as you have like more than 10 dwarves, fucking the crafting skills improve very, very quickly. Like usually what I will do is I'll have before the first population increase, I'll usually try to have like 20 bedrooms set up, and I'll have my manager, my broker. That can happen. I mean, that can happen. To be 100% honest, I kind of expect Clino anytime now to pop in and be like, "You're explaining this wrong. This is how it works." Um, but it can get a little bit tricky. That's why I suggested setting the population cap to like 50. You can lower that as much as you want. It just means that you won't get any migrants until you increase it again. Um, hey, look, Dwarf Fortress music. Yeah, yeah. Oh, just wait until you start getting them to make statues of shit. I wouldn't worry about making statues until you have like gold bars or obsidian. But obsidian, you need to be like near magma. Granted, you can always find obsidian by mining down and aiming for the cavern layers. But I wouldn't do that just yet, like not at your experience, like experience with the game experience level. Um, I mean, you can if you want. Oh, that's okay. You'll probably find the cavern layers anywhere from minus, I'll say minus 10 to minus 20 will be the first cavern layer. Fuck, I generally build on volcanoes, usually towards the top. Yeah, I don't know. The cavern layers can be a pain in the ass. And also when you open up the cavern layer, so that nobody would touch us. What? Doing going on a volcano? No, the reason why I do volcano embarks is because of the fact that that way you don't need wood for your metal, clay, and glass production for the most part. Only if you want to make steel. But yeah, I like the reason why I wouldn't open up the cavern just yet is basically yeah. Um it's it reduces the amount of hostile encounters that you'll have greatly. Like they'll still happen as you sure. But yeah, like hostile encounters will still happen. Like there's no well, I think there other than by making like a custom game, there's really no way to prevent them. But I mean, for the most part, especially once you get to the point where you have some military forces, most of the raids are pretty easy to deal with. Yes. So you're gonna need a mechanics workshop, and you just need to make a bunch of stone gears. Basically, think about it with like a well with like a bucket that can be lowered down. You kind of need a little bit of like mechanical stuff to make that work. You know, you have your pulley and your fucking the wheel and all that, and their gears. But yeah, having like rock mechanisms, just like a bunch of them, is always a good idea. But does it have a wheel that you can turn to pull up a bucket? Because technically, that is a mechanical input. Um, but yeah, setting up a kitchen eventually will be a good idea. Yeah, but that's still a mechanical input. is what I'm saying. In all technicality, it's still a mechanical input. It may be simple, but okay, so the well needs to have direct access to water underneath. And you want it to have access to, I think, at least 2 full squares of water, like 2 full levels of water. Um, the reason for that, one level of water can be muddy. Whereas 2 full layers of water, you're pretty much guaranteed to be getting clean water out of it. You don't place it directly on the water, though. You need to, like, basically go a floor above where the water is. Use rather than the mining command, the dig command to dig a hole, and then you place it on that hole. Actually, yeah, it would let you as long as it has at least one access to dry land type deal. I'm definitely going to have to do another layer of this, but that's fine. Okay, so I know I mentioned it before, but strange moods. You're gonna want to have for those, you're going to want to have a variety of both processed and unprocessed materials. So like you're going to want to have hold some like cut gems and stuff like that. You're also going to want to have some rough gems. Um because like your dwarves will want a large variety of crap to make things out of. Yeah, fucking it's kind of hard because I'm like, ooh, I want to like suggest this or that, but then I'm like, no, fundamentals first. Kier will eventually learn the joy of pump stacks. There's no greater joy than finishing that last connection and flipping a switch and having a your very own lava moat created. So one of the things that you can build is a screw pump. And the way that they are designed, you can essentially stack them on top of one another to be able to move things like water or magma up levels. Um, but they require either power or dwarves to actually do their job, to like actually move the liquid. So like one of the things that dwarves like is waterfalls. They find it relaxing and soothing, and it helps keep them in a better mood. So like one of the more practical uses for a pump stack would be to as long as you turn the like as long as you turn them into rooms, as long as you turn them into bedrooms, the dwarves will just take whatever room they want, type deal. Out of the ones that are available, obviously. Um, so once you hit 50 population, you're gonna want to keep an eye on your nobility tab because one of your dwarves will get turned into a mayor and they'll have like special bullshit that they ask for. Just like, your manager and your bookkeeper require an office, so does so will your mayor. But he'll also require his own dining area as well. Eh, I don't know. The mayor I find is usually really easy. Um, you just kind of have to watch for like the prohibited the prohibited goods and shit like that. Like as far as their just normal domicile, as long as they have, I think it's two chests, one dresser, a weapon rack, an armor stand, two chairs, one table, and a bed. They're generally happy. You just need to make sure it's like a fairly high quality room, which you can do by smoothing and engraving all of the surfaces. Oh, smoothing, at the very least, smoothing stone in areas where dwarves are going to be spending a lot of time in is a really good idea, because it'll help keep their mood up, because their surroundings will be nicer. That's going to be in workshops and then farming. And then there'll be one that says farm plot. So with the farm plot, it can only be put on either mud or like mud, sand, or soil. Also, the farming workshops tab is also where you'll find your still and your kitchen. I mean, you can always just build another trade outpost and then just demolish that one. You'll get all of the resources back. But yeah, magnetite and hematite are going to be two of the best ores for you to get your hands on, because those are going to give you iron. Not at all. But yeah, like, so one of the biggest kind of realizations slash light bulbs I had when I like was first starting to play Dwarf Fortress was stone is going to be your most plentiful resource. Guaranteed, bar none, you are going to have a surplus of stone the vast majority of the time. Which is a good thing because the vast majority of stuff in Dwarf Fortress you can make out of stone. So, like, instead of wooden chests, if you make rock coffers, they do the exact same thing. Instead of wooden barrels, if you make rock pots, again, exact same thing. Same goes with stuff like jugs and the like. Another stone resource that it will be generally useful to you that you'll probably end up with surplus with is tetrahedrite. What makes tetrahedrite so valuable is you can use that to make billin, which is an amalgam of I think like silver and copper. I could be wrong on that, but yeah, no. Oh, you'll know if you have gold, because you have to process gold before you can do anything with it. That's one of that. Yeah, farms help with that. Um, Also trading and stuff like that. Um, so if you build, I believe it's the farming workshop. You can butcher some of the animals that you were sent with, and that came with your migrant dwarves. That can help you through the winter. What I like to do, though, is set up like pen pasture areas and then just kind of keep an eye on them and butcher any excess animals that are born. So, have you set up a still yet? You're gonna want to get one of those because if you don't have alcohol, your dwarves will die. Like essentially, as far as like early game, you want to have farming plots set up as soon as possible. You want to have a still at least one still set up as soon as possible, like within like the first month after after you disembark. Um, so like usually the order that I will build everything myself is I'll get a main area started, or like my crafting area, my workshop area started. I'll get my first wood shop down, build my beds and chairs, and as they're building, I'll generally have the offices built, or the offices and the bedrooms dug out. So as soon as the trader arrives, you'll get a notification, and then you just go to your you go to your trade depot. You click on it, and when the trader is ready and like all their shit's been unloaded, you'll see a button that will basically that'll say trade, and then you can select what you want to sell them and what you want to buy from them. Uh, yes. Well, yeah, like the stuff that the merchant has is on. Yeah, the stuff that the merchant is going to have is going to be on your left. The stuff that you tag for trade and you have moved to your trade depot will be on the right. For your first trade, I would suggest focusing on food and booze. Buy as much of that as you can. Like sell everything that you don't need. Well, I wouldn't say everything that you don't need, but basically like sell all of the crafts that you've made. Like once you get a little bit more advanced in your play style with Dwarf Fortress, you can set it up so that you have your crafters make like X amount of whatever crafts per month. I think I usually have it set to like either 10 a day or 10 a month or something like that. Um, okay, go. That's gonna look fucking awesome when it's more painted. Okay. So do I want to do a light gray? Or do I want to be cheeky? Okay, so did you... Okay, so back out of that window. On the window with the button that says trade, there will be another button that says move goods to Trade Depot. You'll want to click on that, and you want from there you want to select everything that you want to trade. So basically, like all of your crafts. I'd forgotten that you didn't go through the tutorial, and I do believe that's explained in the tutorial, if I remember correctly. That's my bad. No, no, that's it's fine. I'm the one who's trying to help you out and explain stuff, so like it's kind of on me for not taking that step back and being more clear. But yeah, so you go in there, you select everything you wanna that you're willing to trade, and then once all of that stuff has been brought to the depot, because it's going to take a minute, depending on how much stuff you have that you want to sell. And they'll basically pull it from your stockpile. Um, have you set up stockpiles yet? 'Cause I think I might have skipped that step too. Because you're going to want to set one up for food specifically. Okay. Um, I would set up a second stockpile that is just for food. Yeah. Um, so set one up for food. It's fine. You can do so now. Make sure it's in a big room near where your still is and where you're going to be putting your kitchens eventually. Granted, you can do that after you do like your trading and whatnot. Right now, the biggest impetus is to get your dwarves food and booze. That's fine. But yeah, so like your food stockpile, this is gonna sound excessive, but I would say no smaller than like 10 by 10. Because even with food going into barrels and pots, you're gonna end up with a lot of it. And if any food stays in a workshop, nice. Yeah, start with food, then booze, or sorry, food, all of the food items, so like meat, leaves and fruit, stuff like that, like mushrooms, all that fun stuff. And then which trader it's winter, so that's dwarf. So yeah, you can wear the clothes and armor will be useful. I wouldn't really worry about like the stone, the ores, and the bars and blocks and that shit. Because like that's stuff that you can produce on your own. Early autumn. Okay, yeah. So it's the dwarves. So yeah, I would go all the foodstuffs, all the clothing, all the armor, and all the weapons that you can get. And the boots. And the boots. Don't forget the boots. Booze is super important for your dwarves. 3 drops of that. It'll be in the barrels section. The dwarves will usually have like at least one barrel of like some sort of beer or wine. Unless the bunny gods are not smiling upon you. Um in which case I apologize. And in which case you're going to need to get your still up and running as fast as possible. And 11, 12. You can. Um, Anything that you request will be more expensive than if they just brought it on their own. So keep that in mind. Though it is a good idea to, even if you're not going to end up buying it, making requests anyway, because that will help your reputation with them, which means they'll end up sending more stuff in the future. So, like, asking them to bring barrels of alcohol in early game is a good idea. Um, Also asking them to bring fucking dimple cups and dimple cup spawn, basically your mushrooms and the spores for said mushrooms, is also a really good idea because you can then use those to make alcohol, and when you make alcohol out of them, you get the seeds back, which you can then plant, and then have more mushrooms, which you can make more alcohol out of, and get more seeds out of, and plant, and it makes a whole nice little circle. Wow, no barrels section? Then yeah, you're gonna after you're done trading, I would definitely suggest you getting a farm plot put like farm plots and stills. If you have any area that has dirt, that will be useful. Otherwise, it's kind of a pain in the ass to like set up a farming area. So that just means you're gonna need to like ask for less stuff. If it's yellow, there's a good chance, unless you have a high reputation with them, that they'll say no. Basically, as the you want the trade profit to be white rather than yellow. At least early game until like the traders like you more. Okay, so if you have your manager and an office for your manager, you want to go into the work orders tab in the bottom left of your screen. Once you are in there, you're going to want to click on the little search box at the top and type the word brew. Once you've done that, you're looking for brew drink from plant. And then once you do that, you can set an amount to just have it brew. And then once that's done, that specific work order will stop. You can also set it up so that there's like a standing order. But for that, you're gonna have to kind of like it'd be a little bit difficult for me to explain where it is right now, because I'm not looking at the screen. Like I'm not looking at the work order screen. But you can set it up so that you can have like a standing order where it keeps like a minimum of however many, or when you have so much of the base resources, it just automatically makes more. San Diego. Um, the witch, the part about okay. Um, so have you set up a work order in like have you set up a work order for making for brewing drink from plant? I would do more than that. I would do like 50. But if you kind of explore the work order menu there a little bit, like it's kind of hard for me to give you specifics because I'm not looking at the work order screen right now. But if you kind of explore the work order menu a little bit, you can see where you can put in to have it like have repeatable like standing orders. So how many dwarves do you currently have? Like, what's your current population? 13? Yep, you could do that. Hey there, Tech. How are you doing? So, what I would do is I would either, well, yeah. So, like, if you leave it at 20 and have it restarts if completed, then that will make at least until you run out of either mushrooms or rather, un, until you either run out of plants or run out of barrels, it will do 20 drinks per day. Each of your dwarves are going to need at least one drink per day. So having 20 is kind of nice because that's going to give you a little bit of a buffer just in case it goes south. We're going to clean a brush here. So if you're wondering what I'm painting on today, For anybody who is just joining, that being Urban and well anybody else who may be perusing the channel at the moment. I'm currently doing a tricorder D20 holder as a commission for a friend of mine. Kinda, yeah. Give me a second and I will put it on camera. You're playing Dwarf Fortress. That's not doing jack shit. Okay. So, bam. This is where we're at thus far. I just did the first metallic layer. I also magnetized it so that but boop. That's the inside. I'm gonna probably go over that with another layer of Payne's desaturated Payne's gray. I'll probably go with a lighter Payne's gray desaturation. But there's also a small compartment in the front, and I have it magnetized as such that it can only go on one way. Um. Okay, so I kind of counter that simply with the fact that while yes, Dwarf Fortress is a game, it does help exercise and strengthen your analytical capabilities. Like, it helps you think about new ways of approaching situations, and it does help, especially once you get more comfortable with the game and like more stuff happens. Like it throws problems at you that it expects you to solve. And if you're not good at solving said problems, they spiral out of control. Um, Were creatures are at least early game going to be probably a death sentence for your fortress. Because as soon as even one of your dwarves gets bit, the next full moon, you're guaranteed going to have another were critter attack. And even if you kill it, at least one of your dwarves is going to get bit. Now that being said, with were creatures and like there are kind of ways to deal with them. Like I usually try and set up a hospital that has like essentially isolated rooms for everybody that can be locked in case of were creature attack. Because then all the injured dwarves can go into their respective rooms and then be sealed in and drowned. Okay, so there is one of the options that you'll have access to will open up a new window where it'll give you access to like conditions that you can add. I do believe, like, if you go across, like when you start the work order, there should be one of the icons that you can click that will that will bring up, like I said, another menu where you can set stuff like that. Where if less than 15, run this work order. Um, it's like maybe third from the end, the icon for it, but I could be wrong. If you mouse over, yeah, basically, if you mouse over any of the icons, they'll tell you basically what they do. I would suggest doing the same thing for your alcohol production. I usually use that for alcohol production. I'll like set however much, whatever my current population is, plus like 10 to hold, and then just kind of go in and increase it over time. Um, I also do that for beds. I'll have like make if less than 10 beds or less than 10 beds available. Because if you go make if less than 10 beds, as soon as you have 10 beds, that won't get run again. It's kind of specific like that. Alrighty, I think though, we are going to end it here. We're gonna let this cure, and we're gonna come back to this on Tuesday, because it is Thursday right now. So I'm gonna hit the ending soon button. We're gonna go over to the couch. We're gonna turn the other microphone on and get chatting through that while we look for somebody to raid into. So give me just one moment, and I will be right back with you. And meet. Oh, your fortress will end up getting destroyed. But there's nothing wrong with that. Because the more that you play and the more that you do stuff and the more you know explore in the game and like with the settings and stuff like that, the longer that